In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an animation for the background in your live video production, whether you're using Facebook, YouTube Live, upcoming LinkedIn Live, whatever. We're going to create a background that is animated so that underneath a window pane with you in it, your guest in it, whatever, you're going to have an animation floating around behind there, and it's going to look awesome. Let's get started right now. Hey there, I'm Todd.LIVE. I am a podcaster with 2 daily podcast shows, Grammar School and Entrepreneur Live Video. One focuses on Instagram marketing, the other focuses on live video. I've been doing live video for a number of years and video marketing, and if that's something you're interested in, hit the subscribe button down below. Make sure to hit the bell so you know when I drop a new video or when I'm going live on YouTube. So today we are here to talk about how to create an animated background for your broadcasts, okay? Now, I use 3 tools. I use Photoshop, I use Screenflow, and I use Wirecast. Photoshop is where I create the graphic and the template. Screenflow is where I create the animation. And then in Wirecast is where I put it to work and send it out to the world. You're looking at Wirecast right now. The screen on the left is the preview screen. The screen on the right is what would be live if I were going live right now. This is a graphic that I created for a potential LinkedIn live show that I might do when LinkedIn does offer live video to everybody. They've already announced that they're going to, so I'm already on it. So this is a shot of me solo if I were broadcasting on LinkedIn right now. This is a shot if I had a guest. Of course, the guest box is empty right now. I don't have a feed coming in. But what I like about this shot is it shows you the animation that we're going to create. Look how brilliant that looks, okay? And then the final shot is the guest shot. If I had a guest feed coming in, this would be where the guest is when I switch it to the guest shot. As you can see, around the corners of all the graphics is the LinkedIn logo that is moving from one side to the other in a diagonal fashion. I'm going to show you how to create something like this. As it happens, I have a YouTube show that I'm working on. I'm going to probably call it TubeSmart Live. It's going to be a live show here on YouTube. This is the graphic that I created for TubeSmart Live. If TubeSmart Live is something that you're going to be interested in, again, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so that you know when I'm live so that you can see the shows when they go up. Let's take a look at the TubeSmart Live graphics. Here's the solo shot right here. Here is the shot with the guest, and here is a solo shot with the guest. Of course, I don't have a guest feed coming in, so you see black, but as you can see on the live screen, we have the graphic moving. I'm going to show you how to create that. Let's get started and move right on over to Photoshop. Okay, so now that we're in Photoshop, you can see some of my work on the screen that I've been doing. What we're wanting to create is something along this line right here, okay? This graphic that you see on the screen right now is the exact same graphic that you see scrolling across the background in any of these 3 shots with me in it or with me not in it, right? A couple of them are black. But that is that right there, okay? Same thing. Now, one thing I want you to notice is look at how small the icons here are and look at how big they are in the background here. In fact, let me get rid of my picture and you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so see how big these icons are compared to the icons here. This right here was stretched when we brought it over into the broadcast software so it fits the screen. And this is because I have it running at an angle. What you're looking at here is a 1920 by 1080 graphic, okay? So when I import it into Wirecast or any other broadcast software, it's going to look like this. So see, it fits the frame perfectly. But what's going to happen is if you're wanting to diagonal it the way I do, you're going to have to turn it sideways. You're going to have to rotate it a little bit. What happens then? We have black, we have black, we have black, and we have black. So what do we have to do when we get it into our broadcast software? We have to enlarge the frame, okay? We have to enlarge it so it fits without the black on the sides because we don't want the black. We want it to be a beautiful picture scrolling across the screen. It takes a minute to adjust, but see how big the icons get. Trying to find a place where I can no longer have to enlarge it, but it has to get pretty large. So there we go. Now, if this were a video, this is just a picture, but if this were a video, it would go sideways and it would just run forever and you would have no black on the corners. So when you create your Photoshop graphic, or you're doing this in Canva or whatever software you're using, you want to make sure that your logos or icons or whatever you're using, maybe it's just images, maybe it's, you know, little images of Facebook or YouTube or whatever, but you want to make them small enough so that when you enlarge it in Wirecast to cover the corners, if you're using a diagonal, which I think adds some flavor to it, to run it straight sideways, kind of boring, but to run it at a diagonal is kind of interesting, then you need to make your icon small enough so when you blow it up, it's not obnoxious. So how exactly do you do what I've done right here? Okay, I'm going to show you in Photoshop how to create this canvas with all of your logo all over it. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new 1920 by 1080, and I'm going to choose a transparent background. See right here, it says transparent. I want that transparent. You can choose white, background color, whatever. I always like to you start with a transparent canvas. That way I can pretty much have the flexibility and freedom to do whatever I want. So I have already saved here a 1920 by 1080 sized graphic. And so we're just going to create, and that's what we have. Okay. So I'm going to make this real easy. I am going to add a colored background. So we're going to start with that. I have a bunch of files saved in a Wirecast related directory here. Let's go right to it. And I have a dark blue that I really like. I'm just going to import that in. It's not the right size. There's probably easier ways to do this when in Photoshop. And while I'm pretty good at Photoshop, I am not a Photoshop genius. I know I can, if I had the color code, I know I could go over here to the right-hand side, select the color code and just fill it, whatever. It works the same anyway. So now I have a layer over here in the side that I can click the on-off button, okay? So now I'm going to go find my my TubeSmart Live icon. Now I want to show you something here. I created this icon myself, and I'm going to open it with Photoshop really quick to show you what you need to start with. What you see here, and I'll zoom in on it just a little bit, but what you see here is an icon what is also on a transparent background, okay? So this I can move about and do whatever I want. Now, if you're in Photoshop and you didn't know you could do this trick, you can grab your icon and move it right into the template, or I'm going to get rid of that, or you can find it in your files and drag it in. Boom, same thing. When you drag it in from your files, it centers perfectly. You check the box to get rid of the grid around it. Okay, so I'm going to work with this size. Of course, if I wanted to resize it, I could resize it, because we do have to work with a project, and when we know it's going to blow up on Wirecast when we stretch it out to fit that diagonal. Now remember, if you're not using that diagonal, you don't have to worry about it. If you're going to have to stretch it to cover the screen, you have to worry about the size of your icon particularly. And you definitely want to worry about the size of your icon, because you want, when it's going through the background, you want people to be able to recognize what it is. So you need it small enough that it's, I mean, that LinkedIn is obvious, right? This TubeSmart Live is pretty obvious. Maybe it could be a little smaller, but I like it. I'm fine with it. But you want it to be something that people can see. So back to the Photoshop canvas, we're going to go ahead and we're going to accept that where it is, but I'm going to undo a couple things because I wanted to leave it the same size. Now, because I want you to be able to see it. So I'm not going to create a full-fledged graphic for you during this video. I think that once you get the idea of what's going on here, you'll be able to do it yourself. So let me give you a few steps to take, and then we're going to work with what we've got right here. So when we're on this, we have a layer, right? And I'm not going to teach Photoshop today, but you're going to learn a little bit about Photoshop if you're not using it. This is the same in Canva or any other software. So I'm going to use that one layer, which is indeed my logo. I can click it on and off. I want to work with that one layer, and I'm simply going to do a duplicate layer. Then when I stretch it over, look at that, or not stretch it, but move it, and I can do duplicate layer over and over again and have multiple. Then we need that subscribe button that I have in my video that is in the Wirecast that you saw a minute ago. I can bring that in as well. I'm probably not going to want to keep it that big. I can move it there, and I can duplicate that layer too. And there it is. And of course, you see those pink lines. I can use those pink lines to guide me to where I can create over and over again new images until I have a bunch of layers. As you can see over here on the side, I've got a ton of layers for the TubeSmart logo and a ton of layers for the subscribe button. This is not a button that will work. It's just a subscribe button, but in the video, as it's scrolling past the background, you can't click it and make it work, unfortunately. So this is what we're going to work with, okay? So now we're going to go to ScreenFlow because we've got our picture done. Now in ScreenFlow, we're going to create a new document and we're going to want it to be 1080p. We're going to want the 1920 by 1080 and I like the 60 frames per second. So we're just simply going to create a new workspace, right? This is ScreenFlow. Okay, I do use Premiere Pro as well. I like ScreenFlow for certain things, particularly animations. Premiere Pro, I have not learned how to do animations in yet. So let's bring in our graphic because that's all we need to get started. So you simply find the graphic in your documents and then you drag it right into ScreenFlow and put it as the very first item there. This red bar is called a Playhead. Let me stretch out my document here to 4 minutes. And this is a Playhead, okay? You have to pay a lot of attention to where your Playhead is when you make adjustments to your animation because you can end up creating a real nightmare to unwind where you're going to have to start over. Anywhere this Playhead is can dictate what's going on. And again, you just need to be very smart and focus on where that Playhead is at all times, particularly when you're adding video actions, which I'm going to show you how to do in a moment. So here's what's going to happen. We want a solid side to side. We're not going to do diagonal here like you see in Wirecast. See how that's going diagonally? I create the diagonal as I've already shown you in Wirecast. When this video was imported or when this animation was imported, it just simply went side to side. That's all it did, okay? So we start with one in the center and we want to animate the one in the center first. We're going to then have a series of other screens that start from this position off to the side and ultimately go here to the middle and then continue on flawlessly and seamlessly until it's off the screen. And we're going to have to do this and create over and over again the same thing until we have, say, my longest video is 4 hours long, so that if I have a 4-hour-long broadcast, I have a nice steady flow of my graphic without ever having to end. And that's what I want you to be able to have if you want. We're not going to create a 4-hour video here. We're going to create probably about a 2-minute video here. So let's get started. The first thing that you're going to want to do is have your initial item in the center, okay? If you start it to the side, which is the first thing I did when I learned how to do this, and I taught myself how to do this even just yesterday, but I started with my item over to, or the picture over to the side. What happens is when you start your live video, that's where it begins, and what do we have? We have a black screen underneath. I don't want a black screen underneath when the show begins. I don't want that to ever happen. I don't want there ever to be a black screen underneath. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that the first animation you create is one that's centered perfectly and scrolls off to the side, and we're going to do just that. Now, I like for the speed to be, as you can see here, it's somewhat slow, okay? It's not terribly distracting, okay? So in order to create that slow effect, I make it so that to go from this position all the way off screen, it takes a total of 2 minutes. That's fine for this first screen, but what about the screens that follow? I'm going to be showing you how to create screens that start right here. So if it takes 2 minutes for it to go from here to here, it's going to take 4 minutes for it to go from here all the way to here. See what I'm saying? We don't want it to stop in the middle. We want it to go all the way off 4 minutes, okay? And every screen that starts off screen is going to take 4 minutes as it comes across. And this sounds complicated, but it really isn't. But you can make little errors if you're not paying attention to where the playhead is. That's so important to know where this playhead is anytime you make a slight adjustment to the positioning of your your screen. So let's start with the playhead at the very first position at ground zero, okay? That is with my image totally centered. And if you pay attention to the way I'm doing my screen, see how nicely it slides around? But when I want to place it, see how it kind of fits into place? There's a little yellow line that shows up at the top and the white line at the bottom. It fits into place. And when I scroll it over to the side, it kind of snaps into place, okay? I know it's perfectly centered now. So what I'm going to do within ScreenFlow and whatever animation software or video production software you're using, you might have something very similar to this, but I'm going to create a video action. Now, because my video is 4 minutes long and the video action when it shows up is like a few seconds long, you can't see it down in the bottom, but I'm going to use the plus symbol on my keyboard to zoom in, and there is my video action. That yellow is my video action, okay? I'm going to stretch my video action all the way across. Oh, and actually, I want this first video to be 2 minutes because it's starting from the center. So let me send my playhead to the 2 minute mark right there, and I'm going to slice it with the T button. That's the T button in ScreenFlow. I have some quick keys set up. So I'm going to delete that. So the first video needs to be 2 minutes because what do we want? We want the first video to move completely to the left, or the first slide to move completely to the left in 2 minutes. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to drag my video action to the full 2 minute spot. Now, where the playhead is right now and where the image is where the image starts, okay? Now, I drag my playhead over to the end of the video action and I can move this off screen. And what happens? When I go back, watch what happens. Finished, at least with the first slide. It's going to take 2 minutes for that video or for that slide to go completely off screen, okay? That's why it's important to have your playhead. Wherever your playhead is, when you move the position, and I'm going to show you, we're going to make a mistake right now, and then we'll fix it, okay? So let's say that I get right here, and I want to move my video back with the playhead right there. What's going to happen? Look at this. It's not right, is it? And as the video goes, it's not right. See? And it ends with the video still on screen. So wherever that playhead is, when you make an adjustment to your where the artwork is, it can screw you up. So I'm going to undo that. So now my video is perfect again, okay? It starts in the middle and it scrolls off and there's no problems, okay? Now, there's a glitch in ScreenFlow. I just want you to understand if you're using ScreenFlow. There's a glitch in ScreenFlow. As your project gets bigger and as you've done more things, you want to save it often. But two, the undo option a lot of the time starts to screw up and it'll tell you you've got a runtime error or there's an error in the script. And there's nothing worse than making a mistake that you're not quite sure what you did wrong and you can't undo it. So if you're using ScreenFlow, this is the reason why I still use Premiere Pro. I do very little in ScreenFlow because of this glitch that has screwed me up so many times. And I love ScreenFlow. It's a super easy way to create awesome content, but I use it pretty much exclusively for small projects and animations where I know I can get in and out quickly and not have to deal with, like, I would never create a massive video project in ScreenFlow. I just wouldn't do it. So right now we have our first animation set up, okay? And this is going to be one big animation, but it's going to be a big chain of this picture scrolling across the screen. So let's do the second one. So starting with my canvas back where it belongs and with the playhead at the very front, I'm going to drag down the same exact graphic and I'm going to make it 4 minutes. Why is that? We've already talked about that. It's because it's going to start off screen. I want it to be 4 minutes. The easiest way to make it 4 minutes is to go into the clip inspector, click in that little gearbox down there and just type in 4MIN and it will adjust to exactly 4 minutes. Okay. Now, if you notice, I can toggle between the top layer and the new layer, and whichever one is yellow, you have to pay attention to this as well, where your playhead is and which one you've got lit up. because the one that's lit up is the one you're working on, okay? This one's finished, okay? And I'm not sure if I can lock this layer. Let's see if I can lock it. Oh, there we go. Lock clip. So if you click that little gear button down below, you can lock that clip so it's in place and can't be messed with, because we don't want to screw that one up. So I want to work with this one now. This one has to start moving immediately when the top layer, this one, starts moving, because otherwise you're going to have, let's see here, otherwise you're going to have a black background, okay? So this layer is actually going to start off screen, okay? So we don't want any black to occur. So what we're going to do is we're going to start this one, and because it's the yellow and it's lit up, I can actually move that without affecting the top layer, okay? And I'm going to move that to where it snaps into place right there, okay? Now, this one, if we play it, right now we have no animation on that big, long 4-minute layer. So there we have a separation, don't we? Okay, so we need to animate that next layer. That will give us perfection here. So again, we're going to go up to the top. Oh, I've got to choose the right layer, and I'm going to choose add video action. And remember, the video action is very small when it shows up. It goes to where the playhead is. I'm going to stretch it out, and I'm going to stretch it all the way to the end. Okay, so this is going to be a 4-minute animation. Okay. Now, I want to make sure I'm clicking this, I'm double clicking it, I'm dragging the playhead. I want to make sure the playhead is as far to the 0 as it can go, because if it's not, then one layer is going to catch the next layer, and we don't want that to happen. So we're going to create this animation. So right now it's off screen, and we're going to drag the playhead all the way over here, and then we're going to move this all the way to where it snaps into place. Now, the idea is that it starts over here at 0 and it ends over here at 4 minutes. So what happens when we send the playhead back and we hit play? Look at this. Perfection. One layer is not over. I thought it was for a minute there. I had to pause. One layer is not overtaking the next layer. Now, for now on, all your layers are going to be 4 minutes long, okay? The only layer that's 2 minutes is the first layer, because that layer started on screen in the frame, perfectly centered and formatted. That one only took 2 minutes to leave the screen, as you can see. The second row is 4 minutes long, and we're going to get to the 2-minute mark. In fact, I'll just speed it up and watch this. Let's get it closer. Now, here's the 2-minute mark. Why do we need more layers? Boom. The first one dropped off. Now we have black again, right? So this actually is where it gets easy, okay? So let's pause it. Let's send the playhead back to the beginning, and I'm going to select that graphic and that animation, and I'm going to copy it, okay? And then I'm going to move my playhead over here to the end, and I'm going to paste it, okay? Now, you can move items from layer to layer, and that's what we're going to do. So we need to find the spot, and we know where it is. We need to find the spot where the second layer is perfectly centered. You do not want, in fact, let's just to be safe, I'm going to lock this clip because I don't want to move it at all. I know it's perfect, okay? So that clip is now locked. Now I'm going to come about and I'm going to find where I need to be so that this one is actually seamless to that one, okay? So I'm going to drag this over here and get out of my way, and I know it's at the 2-minute mark because that's where I made it, the 2-minute mark. That's where this one needs to start, okay? Now, you see it show up over here on the side. What you're going to see is a pattern down here below that is going to be very easy to work with, and you're going to know that if you see these layers outside the pattern, then you've got a problem. So let's watch. Okay, we're going to transition from this layer, the first layer we created. You see it over here. It's leaving the screen, and we're going to see the second layer. Okay, we're going to see that second layer show up. And at the very same moment, we're going to see that third layer start to show up. See it over here on the side? Watch. Boom. And there it is. Perfection. It's at the right speed. It's not going to overtake the layer before it. And now we just wash, rinse, repeat. So just to be safe, I'm going to lock that layer. And then I'm going to copy both of those. Now, this is, why would I want to copy both of them? Okay, let's say I want to make this a 4-hour video, a 4-hour animation. So that way, if I go live and I choose to do like Nick Nimmin style and go live for 7 hours, I'm going to be in trouble at 7 hours. But if I want to go live for 4 hours, I have a constant flow of my animation that's perfect for 4 hours. Well, you do this exponentially. So what we have is 6 minutes total of video here. If we were to watch this thing in its entirety, it'll scroll for 6 minutes before we finally get to the end. Now, you can't copy the first layer because the first layer started in the center, okay? We only want to copy layers that start off the screen so that when we copy and paste, we grow. So if we have 6 minutes of video and the first layer we can't copy is 2 minutes, then right now we can copy 4 minutes and turn a 6-minute video into, let's bring the playhead down, into a 10-minute video. Watch this. Edit, paste. Okay, there it is. Now, I can move it. Oh, I can't because they're locked. I have to unlock those. In fact, it's probably best not to lock up all of your clips, the ones that you're going to copy, because then you can't copy and paste them. Did I lock it again? I locked them, unlock clips. Okay, so I'm going to select them both. That's how you do it, is do a little click on your button and drag your mouse over both of them. And now I'm going to move them about. So I'm going to move them over, move them down. And I know that in following the pattern, I need this one to start at the 4-minute mark. Okay. And that way it'll run to what? What did we just say a minute ago? 10 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock these just to make it easier. I just lock them just to be sure for the sake of this video while I'm working with you that I don't create them. This is the second time I've had to record this. And it's because I didn't lock clips and I made a mistake. And I had to trash all the footage and redo it. So I'm going to start up here. And now I'm going to copy. This is 4-minute, 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 4-minute. So I'm going to get another 16 minutes that I'm going to be able to tack onto here. It's going to be a 26-minute video. So let's go over here, make sure the playhead's where I want it. I'm going to paste it. There it is. Now, if you zoom out, see what's happening here? It pastes it with the using all of the space. So you end up having to move your layers one at a time. On ScreenFlow, you can only do one layer at a time. You click, move. Click your mouse, move. You can move side to side all you want, but so I want to zoom in again because I want to get this perfect. I want this layer to match, and it kind of snaps. See how it kind of snaps into place? It snaps into place. So I know that for it's 18 minutes now. I have a video and I can actually move this up. Let me see here. So I can move this up if I wanted to. So this is 18 minutes worth of animation. If I started at the beginning and I scroll, you can't see the whole screen up there because I've shortened it, but it kind of snaps into place after every video. But that's what happens. It's perfect. This will play for, what is it, 24 minutes? I think it's 24 minutes. This will play for 24 minutes total, 18 minutes total. So let me shrink that back down. And then, of course, you have black. This is why you need to decide how long do you need your animation. If your show is going to be an hour-long show, then you need to do what I've done with the copy and pasting until you've reached that hour point. And I would even do an hour and 20 minutes. So if your show goes long, you have extra footage. I did one that was 4 hours. I know I can use that anytime, any place. It'll run for 4 hours. I'll never go live for 4 hours, and I'm safe, okay? So then what you do is, of course, you export. And I'm not going to export this file. I'm going to use a pre-made file that I've already made to show you how to bring it into Wirecast. But you simply export it. You select a name like, let's see, Tube Smart Live. You choose your destination. I never like sending things to my desktop. I like sending things to my external hard drive, which is the Elements. We're just going to choose 1920 by 1080. I always like to do the slowest, so it's the best quality. If you use normal, it's actually very good quality. and fastest. This is how fast it takes for the encoding to happen. So a 24-minute videos at regular speed, at normal speed, is going to take about 24 minutes. It's going to take longer if you do it on the slowest to render the video so that you can actually bring it into Wirecast. You want it to be letterbox content, and then you want to hit the export button. I'm not going to do that because I want to finish this video and I don't want to wait and use this sample. I've got other samples to use to show you how to bring it into Wirecast. So let's do that right now. So here we have it, the TubeSmart test. And I do believe this is the 4-hour-long video. So I'm just going to drag it right into the layer right there. And yes, if you look, it's 4 hours and 18 minutes long, okay? So I'm going to drop that into that layer and I'm going to select it. And there we have it, okay? There we have it, scrolling across right away because I have the settings so that if I take something in the preview window, it automatically goes to the live window. I have no idea why inside Wirecast the preview window doesn't show the animation moving. I think that's a negative thing because if you're previewing it and you're not having it your Wirecast set up like mine is, where when it goes to the preview window, it automatically goes live. If you truly want to preview it before you send it live, you might think that your animation's broken because you can't see it moving. So maybe if I had it where it didn't go live immediately, it would show it moving. Now, I just noticed something. If you see here, there's a little line there, okay? I had one frame out of position ever so slightly, and so I get that one line. So what I can do is I can actually take my 4-hour video and put it into ScreenFlow or Premiere Pro and slice the video so that line doesn't happen. But in the rest of my video, if I move this playhead inside a Wirecast down, oh, actually, you know what? I think it happens over and over again. It does probably happen over and over again because I copied and pasted. But as you can see here, this was a 4-hour one. It was a test. I named it TubeSmart Test because I wanted to make sure this would work. But I do indeed have a little line happening. I don't like that, so there's an impurity in my original effort. But that's okay because I've shown you how to bring it in from your file folder into Wirecast. You simply drag and drop it, and there it is, okay? Then if you want to do something interesting, like I've done, and you want to add your screenshot, okay, boom, there I am, screenshot. Of course, I don't want it to be that big, so I'm going to, but I also want to bring in a frame. I like frames on my videos. So I have a frame down here waiting, and there we go. I have to adjust that size to fit the screen. Very easy. You can watch this in replay and pause it if you want to learn how to do these things. They're kind of out of the scope of teaching you how to do this animation. But now I'm going to choose both the frame and my picture, and I'm going to adjust them ever so slightly and center them. And look what happens. Okay, we have the animation, but it's still not right though because we're not diagonal. Okay, so I'm going to only choose, in fact, I'm just to get them off the screen. I'm going to get the frame and my picture off the screen, and I'm going to choose the TubeSmart test, okay, with the little impurity in it. And I'm going to go ahead and send it to my live screen just so I can kind of see. So when you make changes to the rotation by clicking this little thing in the center, okay, once you've selected where you want to be, you can then expand it so that it covers the black area. Now, I might make this ridiculously big just to do it quickly, but there you go. Now, when I move it to the live screen, there it is. And we still have some black. See how you really got to blow it up to get rid of the black. And there it is. So now we have perfection. Of course, it's not perfection to me. I think the logos are way too big. But keep in mind when you're creating your document in Photoshop, let's go back and visit that really quick. When you create your document in Photoshop, you want to make sure your logos are nice and small. I'll probably redo my TubeSmart Live test video. I'll probably actually add a couple lines to this and make it all a lot smaller and clean it up a little bit and make sure that I don't have that little impurity, that little line in between templates, in between the segments. I don't want that to happen. So again, I can go back to my panel here and turn on the image of me and the frame around me and send it. And there it is. Finished. Finished. How long did that take me? It's taken me 40 minutes to record the entire video. And during the video, I've stopped and made errors and got up and gone to the bathroom and turned off a heater and talked to my wife. So this didn't take long once I knew how to do it. and I'm recording at the same time. So I'm covering the same ground sometimes, but it's not hard to do once you know how to do it. And you can create anything. I mean, you can create anything to go behind your panel, your window pane in your live video. Of course, let's clear that layer and let's go into my original here. This is the one that I've got that has the impurity. You can see it crossing at the top and the bottom of the guest panel right now. That's the little line that's going through. I don't like that, and I'm going to fix that. This, of course, is if the guest comes in, and this is, of course, with nobody on the screen. If you go into my show for LinkedIn, my theoretical show that I'm working on, there it is. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous background. Of course, if there was a guest there, or if I had a guest feed coming on in like I do in the other one, it would be black in that box. But I like that it isn't black in the box right now because you can actually see the logos going across. It gives you an idea of what's happening here. And of course, the guest shot if I had a guest come in. So just gorgeous. So what do you think, folks? This is not hard to do. You have to have the right software and you have to have the right knowledge. This video gives you the knowledge, right? So be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell because I'm going to be pumping out all sorts of knowledge like this in the future. 2019 is going to be a big year for me on YouTube. That's what my intent is. But again, if you have the knowledge, which this video just gave you, and you have the software, you can use other software. You don't have to use Photoshop, but the principles apply. Using transparent backgrounds, moving things around, you can do that in other software other than just Photoshop. Same thing with ScreenFlow. You don't have to have ScreenFlow to do this. ScreenFlow is about a $150 product. It's wonderful for small projects. I love it. It's quick in, it's quick out, it's easy to learn. So you can do this in ScreenFlow very easily, but other video production software, you probably can do it as well. And then Wirecast, of course, is my broadcast software of choice. There's other broadcast software out there, starting with the free version of OBS, which is the only version of OBS. I don't like OBS myself. I tried it when I was a new live streamer. I found it very difficult to work with. I love Wirecast, okay? There's links below for Photoshop, Switchboard, or not Switchboard, but ScreenFlow and Wirecast. If you're interested in any of those products, click the link below and it'll take you right to them. If you like what you see in this video, again, hit the subscribe button and the bell. I can't say it enough. The other thing too is, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, okay? I love getting thumbs up on my videos. I'm going to serve you up a video over here to the side that makes it easy to watch something else that's relevant to my content creation and what I teach you guys. And there's a huge subscribe button right there for you to use to make it easy for you if going down below and hitting that subscribe button is too difficult. Maybe your mouse doesn't have enough room to reach down to that part of the screen. But be sure to hit the bell as well so that you're notified. And folks, it's been a lot of fun. I learned this yesterday. I taught it all to myself, and it's been a lot of fun sharing it with you today. I hope you enjoyed it. I will talk to you in the next video. Take care. Have a great day.